Hi everyone and welcome to my IQ tester tutorial. In today's tutorial we're going to break things down into a project of three parts. So in part number one we'll be using SolidWorks where we will plan and create a visual model of our object that we want to make. In part number two we'll be sending our object to Mastercam to provide both CAD and CAM functionality so our CNC machine can understand what we want it to do. Finally, in part number three, we'll be making the G code so our router can read the code and replicate the object that we want to make.
So right now we're on our home window on our desktop, and we're just going to go ahead and open SolidWorks. This can potentially take up to 20 to 30 seconds, so just click on it once and be patient. You don't want to try and open this multiple times because if so, it can create more backlog. So again, here, this is our opening window, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to X out this little message here, and we're going to go to the top, and we're going to start by creating a new project. We're going to select part to the left there that's shaded in gray and press OK. From here now, this is the window we're going to be doing most of our work in.
And before we get started, the first thing I want everybody to do is take a look in your bottom right hand corner to ensure that we are working in IPS units. This means we're going to be using inches, which we'll be doing for most of our projects. So once we know we have our assignment set into inches, we're going to go ahead to our top left corner here and select Extrude Boss Base. This is going to allow us to select the plane, and we're always going to be working on the front plane. So we can just go ahead and click on that. And then from here, we're going to use our origin. So this is our two arrows that point straight up and to the right of our screen. And I'm going to go ahead and select rectangle and go back to my origin and click and drag out, basically creating a square on my screen. From here I can just click again, and don't worry about dimensioning anything right now because we can go back and do that just shortly after, which you can see me doing here now. So I'm hitting Smart Dimension, dragging out either side, and then I can just go ahead and type in. Once I click, it allows me to type in however high I want my object to be. Then I can go ahead and do the exact same thing for the bottom here. And this is the way that I'm going to figure out, do all the height and depth and everything like that when it comes to creating objects in SOLIDWORKS. I'm going to go ahead and leave the sketch. That's this button in the top right corner here. When I leave the sketch, it allows me to extrude it so I can push the object back and create some depth. From here then, I can go to the side and I can decide how deep I want my object to be. So this now is starting to slowly become more and more looking like an IQ tester quiz. Then I can go ahead and hit the check mark here in the top right corner, and now, as you guys can see from doing those 4 or 5 small little steps, I have an object. So now with our IQ tester, what we want to do is create our holes. So by doing this, we're going to go back and click on our sketch and select circle. We're then going to have to decide what face we want it to be on, and obviously we're going to select the front. So we're going to first draw a circle, and then we're going to go and smart dimension that circle. From here, we'll go back, click on Smart Dimension, and we can click on the middle of the circle and either side to tell the program how far we want the circle to be off the side, off the bottom, and then we can also do the radius, all using Smart Dimension. So here, I'm just going to go to the side. I'm going to type in how far out the distance I want my circle from the edge, 0.75. And again, I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. At 0.75. And then I'm just hitting enter. So now we got one circle almost done. Let's grab the radius. So we're going to click on the edge of the circle and drag out. This one only needs one click. And then we're going to type in the radius of our circle and hit enter. From here, now what we're going to want to do is make all of our circles. And thankfully, we do not need to drill all of them individually. We can use the function called linear sketch pattern up here, shaded dark. You guys can see it above. I'm pressing it right now. There we go. And we're going to go over and we're going to edit our D1. So that's distance apart. And we're going to change that to 0.75. So this is how far each of the circles are going to be apart from one another. Then we're going to edit the number of holes that we have. So we want to change the number of holes from 2 to now 5. And you'll see them span across our object down below. And then finally, what we want to do is we're going to change the degree. So rather than being 0, we're going to change it to 60. So the holes go up across our object. Now we're going to go ahead and select the bottom circle and do the exact same thing we previously did, except now we don't need to edit the degree every single time. We can just have the degree set to 0 because the holes are just going to go across the object. So here I'm going to go select the circle, and then I come over to the side and I'm going to change the distance apart to 0.75, and I'm going to change the number of holes to 5 again. This can be a somewhat slow process, but given that it's a tutorial, we are going to go through the whole thing. So again, I'm over here going to add in my bottom row of 5 circles, and then basically I'm going to do the exact same thing until I have all my circles in place. So again, they're all going to be 0.75 inches apart, and that's changed in my D1. And my number of holes is changed every time. So there you go, there's my second bottom row. Now I'm working on the third row here, ensuring that all my measurements are the same throughout. Here we go, my third row is now in. And then one last time, we got to put in one more circle. So we're going to make sure that that's the same throughout. So once we have all our circles on our object, we're going to go ahead and click this cube above and change our view. By changing our view, we'll be able to see when we have our holes perfectly drilled through the object, whether this be fully through or not fully through. So now we're going to go ahead and select all the dots that are on our face. So basically we can extrude these then the exact same distance through our stock. Once I have all my faces selected, under the features I'm going to be able to hit extrude cut. From here I'm going to go ahead and ensure that I'm on blind, and I'm going to ensure that my D1 is set to 0.375. From here I'm going to be able to rotate my object, and I can see that the holes have slightly gone through the object. So now we're going to go ahead and change our view back to the solid isometric view by pressing this box right here, the top one. Then we can see that our holes are drilled through by seeing the inner side, this lighter gray. So now we're going to go ahead and begin to drill our larger hole that holds the pieces. So we're going to select circle and then our face. and create the circle like so. Now we're going to use our Smart Dimension tool on the left to determine how far off we want the center of the circle from the edge. And we're going to click here, type in our distance. So that's 1.25 from the center of the circle. We're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for the other side. You can drag them up top or bottom, whatever you like. And then after we get that typed in, we just press enter, and that snaps right to where we want it to. We're going to go ahead and get the radius. The radius can be, you can tell you have the radius when you have that circle with a dash through it prior to the number. I'm going to type in the radius, and there we go. So now basically what we have is another circle that we need to extrude through the object, because this is what's going to hold the plastic piece that carries the rest of the smaller fine bits. So now that we have our circle dimensioned, we're going to go ahead and hit extrude cut. And given that we're still in the sketch, the program is going to know what cut that we actually want to extrude. So we're going to go ahead and type in the depth of how far we want the cut to go through at 0.5 and hit OK on the check mark. So now we can tell that we have the circle cut out halfway through our object. So now what we're going to do is we're going to send our SolidWorks project to Mastercam. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Tools above. We're going to come down to Mastercam Direct and click on Mastercam. So what's going to happen now is there's going to be it's going to take probably a few minutes to load the Mastercam icon in our SolidWorks screen, and this is going to send over directly. What's different with Mastercam is that we need to basically do things in a reverse order. We don't open Mastercam and go find the file. We open the file through SolidWorks. This makes things a lot quicker, despite it even being a little bit slow right now. So once our Mastercam officially decides to load, we'll get prompted with this screen. I'm just going to close this down for now, and we're going to take a quick look at our object. So I'm just using the scroll button on my mouse scroller, and then I'm just holding it down and panning it side to side here now in a second, just like so. So once we're in the Mastercam and we're ready to start, our first step is going to go to the top right hand corner, select File, and then move to Configuration. We basically need to change our units right now. So we're going to go to the bottom bar here, and we're going to change the current bar from metric to imperial. So we see it changing to inches. We're going to select OK on these statements that come up, and finally hit the OK check mark, and then change our object to inches by pressing yes. You then can press down on the right click and hit fit. This will bring your object right up close. From here then, we're going to select machine. We're going to go and press router and tell the system what router we want to send it to. We're going to click on the Larkin. We're going to see that get dropped down in the menu below. And then we're going to click on machine group number 1 and hit delete by clicking the delete on your keypad. From here, we're going to click on properties and then files on the drop down menu. When we click, we will have a new window open up where we have to go to tool settings. We will go and turn on warn of duplicate tool numbers. From here, we'll click on Stock Setup. We'll bring our cursor to the top plane, click All Entities once we are finished, and we will see the numbers change to spec, and then we're going to select OK. Then we're going to move to the drop-down menu in the top left corner. We're going to select Drill, and we will see a new menu appear on the left side. We will then drag our cursor over all the holes, and the software will know to select all holes drilled at the same depth. So right now I'm just going to the top left corner, dragging my cursor over all the holes, and then you'll see that they are selected. From here, once we see that they're selected with the green dots, we're going to move to Selected Order and select one of the zigzag options for best efficiency. From here, we'll see all the holes have been added under the toolpath hole definition. We're going to go ahead and hit the green check mark above to verify. Once we hit the green check mark, another new window will appear. We're going to select Tool and hit Select Library Tool, where we will pick our bit. In this case, I know that my bit is number 144, being 1/8 of an inch straight cut. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to select this by hitting the green check mark. As we move forward, we'll see many options. In some of these, nothing will change. So in Holder, we'll see nothing change. In Stock, we will see nothing change. In Cut Parameters, we'll also see nothing change. Tool Axis Control, nothing changes. Limits, nothing changes, nor in Hole Segments. Once we get the linking parameters, we're going to come to the bottom and change our depth from incremental to absolute, and change our value to negative 0.375, because we are going to be drilling this depth through our stock on the CNC router. As we continue to go through, we see tip comp, and we're going to go and hit the green check mark. From here, we will hit Verify Selected Operations, and this is basically going to show us now what we actually have programmed over the last couple of steps with the drilling. So as this verifies, we're going to see a new window come about. We can full screen this here and change our view slightly so we get a better angle here. We'll change to isometric. Then we can hit play at the bottom, and we can see that our holes are being drilled out. From here, we'll hit the X on this window, and now we'll have all the small holes complete, and we're going to move to the larger hole. So to cut this hole, we're going to select Pocket in the menu above. We're going to see a new window come about. We want to make sure we have wireframe selected, C-plane, and chain. So then we will click on the top edge of our circle to show what way we want to cut. Then we'll move over and we'll change the direction because we want to move counterclockwise for these cuts. We will then hit OK on the menu bar and be prompted again by a new window similar to the last time we cut our individual holes. Here we will select Tool to ensure we still have the 1/8 straight bit selected. As you can tell, we're all good. Then we'll move to Cut Parameters, where nothing will change. Then into Roughing, we're going to select Spiral for drill path. Use the bar here and we'll scroll over. The last one is true spiral. Then we'll move to entry motion. We're going to turn this off. Then we're into lead in and lead out, where we will see no change. Depth cuts, we will turn on by ticking the box. And then we are going to change max rough step to 1/16 of an inch. When I type this in, you will see when I hit enter on 1/16 of an inch, it's going to go to 0.0625. So it converts it for us. In breakthroughs, we're going to see no change. And then finally, in linking parameters, we're going to change incremental to absolute and change our depth to negative 0.5. Once this is said and done, we will then proceed to hit the green check mark in this window. Like so. So similar to before, we're going to hit verify selected operations, where we will be able to watch our drill path for our pocket. So drill's going to work here now once we hit play. It takes a quick second, so all looks good. Basically now we can close this window out because we know it did what we wanted it to. And then from here we will go to our drop down menu and select contour. And again, we want to ensure with this cut that we're doing around the outer perimeter that we select wireframe again, as we see here. And we want to make sure we're still on the C plane, and then we want to make sure chain is also clicked. Then from there, we're going to move over to our object and we're going to select the top plane. So now we see our green arrow is on the top, and we're going to hit our green box because that is where we want it. Once we hit the green box, a new window will open where we will select tool and ensure we have our 1/8 straight bit still selected. Then holder, we will see no change. Cut parameters, no change. Depth cuts, we're going to turn on by hitting the check. Then set our max rough step to 1/16 again. Then we'll go to lead in, lead out where we see no change. Breakthroughs are going to be no change. Multi-passes are going to be no change. But tabs will need to be turned on. We will then change our ramp tabs to vertical because the CNC router does not like to move on a diagonal while it's cutting the outer perimeter. We're going to change our tab thickness to 0.125. Then we will hit position, and when we hit position, we'll be able to place our tabs on either side of the object. So right now I'm going to scroll over, I'm going to grab one side, and I'm going to click on the edge, and it's going to give me 2 yellow lines, and that will tell me that there's a tab going to be placed there when I begin my cut. Then again, I can scroll in or scroll out, and I'll grab the other side here as I rotate down. So now I'll have 2 tabs go in diagonally across from each other, and you can choose where they go on either side. Then, to bring back my window, I'll hit enter, and we will edit the linking parameters again, changing the depth from incremental to absolute, and then changing our value to negative 0.8. Once we get all this done, I will hit OK, the green check mark on the bottom, like so. Then I'm going to proceed to hit Verify Selected Operations, small button over here on the left side of the screen, and it'll take me into my window with my drill, and I'll be able to put this into isometric view again and watch my whole router drill out my piece of stock exactly the way how I want it. Well, there go my tabs actually, so the whole thing is not being cut just yet. See, now we can see my tabs in place on either side. That's that small piece, it's 0.125 thick. So I can close out this window. From here, I'm going to go over and select View All Toolpaths, which will basically help me simulate the entire effect of what's going on right now. So all these toolpaths are going to happen. Now, considering I selected that, and then I'm going to click Verify Selected Operations. This is going to prepare the whole thing for me. So now when I click on Isometric View and Shift Out, and I hit play, this will simulate the entire process of the router. So my pocket, all my holes, and then my tabs on both sides are all going to be cut. So then, when I exit this and verify path group 2, tool path group 2, I can click on my G1, and this is basically what creates our G code. So the CNC router can understand what we want to have happen. So then what we'll do is I'll save this as IQ test. Hit save. And then basically this process is as easy as taking the .nc file and shifting it to a external drive and then plugging it into the computer that's hooked up to our CNC router. So here when we look at this code, we have hundreds of lines of code, 600 and something odd lines. Very glad that I do not have to write this out. We can hit X on that and save our project. And that's going to bring this tutorial to an end. The rest of our work is going to be done in class using our .nc file and our CNC router.